I'm doing my report, my presentation over George W. Bush. George W. Bush was born July 6, 1946 in New Haven, Connecticut. He is the son of Barbara Bush and George H.W. Bush. He is married to Laura Bush. He is an American politician and businessman. He after graduating from Yale University in 1968 and Harvard Business Schools in 1975. He worked in oil businesses. He married Laura Welch in 1977 and ran unsuccessfully for the House of Representatives. Shortly thereafter, he co-owned the Texas Rangers before he beat Ann Richards in the 1994 Texas governor election. Then he ran a close election for president and became the 4th president to be elected by having these
Take your time.
while receiving fewer popular votes nationwide than its opponent, and the second president to be the son of a former president, the first being John Quincy Adams. He is also the brother of Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida. Throughout your career, you have heard/saw many replicas of memorials, but this one will stick in your mind forever. This memorial is based on George W. Bush because he has accomplished many things as an American citizen and American president. My memorial will take up about 9.9 acres, and the location of this monument could be the ellipse in Washington, D.C., just south of the White House. On one side of the memorial is an American flag to replicate him being an American citizen and a president. And on the other side is quotes that he said when he was a president. And on the back is the number 43 to replicate him being the 43rd president of the United States. Here in Ohio, where I live, the price per acre is about $10,000. The memorial will be 400 feet long and 315.81 feet wide. The building will be 175 feet tall. The head will be 175 feet tall and will be 10 feet thick and 115 feet wide. The tunnel, which connects it to the building, will be 115 feet long, 135 feet tall, and 115 feet wide. The two sidewalks right here that will be for people to walk out are 115 feet wide, and the one in the middle is 95 feet wide, and these two are 220 feet long, and the other is 95 feet long. They are all going to be made out of concrete, and the cost of concrete is around $90 per cubic yard. The price of marble is $50 per cubic foot. The walls, head, tunnel, and the roof are all going to be made out of marble, and the steps, floor, and sidewalk are going to be made out of concrete. So the total price of the memorial is around $212,164,410 paid by private donors and private donors. And here are some accomplishments. He implemented $1.3 trillion Bush tax cuts of 2000-2003, significantly lowering the marginal tax rates for nearly all U.S. taxpayers. He signed the No Child Left Behind Act, reauthorizing the Elementary and Secondary Education Acts and supporting standards based on education and reform. He led an invasion of Iraq in 2003 under the pretext of an Iraqi refusal to relinquish its WMD. He implemented several free trade agreements to push for offshore and domestic oil drilling. He presided over the beginnings of the Great Recession in 2008 and launched several different economic initiatives aimed at preventing a banking system collapse, stopping foreclosures and stimulating the economy. He established a president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, PEPFAR, an AIDS program that committed $15 billion to combat AIDS over 5 years, especially in Africa. These two sides, and this is a price for, these are all going to be made out of marble. This is a price, these are the prices that per section of it in marble. This is for the concrete prices. This is cubic yards and this is cubic feet, the prices. And this is a total of marble, the total of concrete and per cubic feet, and this is concrete per cubic yards. This is how much it would cost for the land, and this is the total using cubic feet for concrete, and this is the total if I use cubic yards for the concrete. And that's it.
Questions for Derick about President George W. Bush? Derick, we're only 7 years, coming up on 7 years since President George W. Bush has been out of office. With that window of perspective, and that being a huge part of your lifetime, what do you think are the most, if you had to pick one or two of the most important things that President Bush did in office, what would you say they might be and why?
Probably either he led the invasion in Iraq, just because that's a huge part as being a leader. You have to lead stuff into other countries to stop them doing whatever they're doing, or the tax, so to lower the tax rates so people don't have to pay as much as tax as they usually do.
You've got very intricate designs and you gave us great numbers and facts, but I think that it would be almost, I'd be amiss if I didn't ask you about the giant skull feature. Could you talk to us about your design to use the giant George W. Bush head, and I want you to just comment a little bit on what you think he might think of it.
Yeah, I chose to put the head on it because I figured that nobody else would do it. It would just be a unique design, so nobody else, and it would be nothing like anybody else. And I think George would agree and disagree about putting his head on the front of a building. He would agree because he would be like the first president to have his head
as a walkway.
As a walkway, and he would disagree because I don't know if you'd like people walking into his mouth.
All right. Any other questions for Derick about the George W. Bush Monument and Emporium? Ethan.
How long will it take to build?
I would say maybe a year, probably.
Any other questions or comments? Let's give Derick a round of applause, please.